All right, everybody, R. Michael Anderson here. And what we do is we have another testimonial from the 8-week transformational leadership course that I run. And today we have Gregor McInnes. And this is, and he's got a really interesting story because the course came along to him at a really good time, a really fortunate time, because as a lot of us run our journey, different things come and they really put us into places where it's really important for us to dig down. And when we can really show up as a true leader, it can really be something that really propels our career forward. So, Gregor, thanks for being here with me today. And just wanted to give a little bit of context of how we got connected.
Yeah, certainly, Michael. Thanks for having me here today. So yeah, we met at a Digit conference in Edinburgh a little while back, which was based around leadership and how to kind of bolster those skills. So it was for senior execs and CTOs, etc. And just the presentation you were given at that time just really struck a chord with me, as you say. I was about to embark upon a new leadership challenge where I work. I provide consultancy services to financial services industries. And we had to put together a team to deliver some technical objectives. So this was pushing myself out of my comfort zone and taking me into aspirational positions of leadership that I sought out, but knew that I probably wasn't as well equipped with as I should be. So when you started talking about specific stuff around the authentic self and places of ego, etc., that really kind of struck a chord. There's some stuff that I thought I was head and shoulders above my peers in, certainly, and it turned out that I wasn't quite as well-rounded in those aspects as I thought I should be. So yeah, the opportunity to work with you came along at exactly the right time for me. The results have been phenomenal, I have to say, and the effects to myself, my team, and my career potential is very tangible. The feedback from senior management and execs has been very, very positive around the things I'm now implementing.
Well, that's great, Greg. And I got to tell you, you brought it 100% on the course. So it was great to see you fully participate. And so just to summarize, so, you have a great technical background. You got brought in by this organization. It was a very high profile, business critical, cutting or bleeding edge technology project too, isn't it?
Yeah. It was a very exciting place to play. It's about modernising the bank and bringing new capabilities and really setting them up for the future. And it's got a huge bank-wide remit. It's not just one single line of business in the bank. It's the entire presence, and it's shaping up to be very busy and very, very exciting place to work. Yeah, very fun.
Good. So did you, going into this project, we'll get to the reals in a second, going into this project, was there any concerns or fears or anything like that by taking on such a big project?
Yeah, so as I said, it was certainly pushing me out of my comfort zone. I was well adapted to managing myself and the way I approach things. Working with a team, and now a relatively large team, to do what we're doing. There was a lot of trepidation in that, a lot of areas that I wasn't quite sure how to really tackle and nail down. One of the things we covered off quite early on was the fact that if you fall back in that place of ego where you're safe and you're happy and you're operating from your existing strong position. So for me, that's obviously technology. And one of the things you identified in me earlier on was inadvertently trying to be the smartest person in the room to fall back in that ego position, to always exert my technical dominance on anyone who's in the room, rather than being able to adopt the strategic position of talking to stakeholders, etc., and the senior management to tell them, where we were going and what that actually meant to them and their business, rather than how we were going to do it and what all the technical, fantastic technical things we were going to do which is not the kind of stuff that they really want to hear. So whilst I thought I was really good at engaging with stakeholders, and it turns out I was just really good at telling them what I thought they wanted to hear rather than what they needed to hear. So being able to identify that, being able to change my tact and to, be able to step out of that position and look down over the maze rather than being in it. So we can see the strategy, see the lie of the land and how we can navigate that and being able to communicate that to stakeholders. So that's been quite a game-changing position.
That's phenomenal. That's really phenomenal. Obviously crucial, when you really want to propel your career upwards. Is there any, do you have any specific examples or any stakeholders or any meetings that really, or any feedback that you got that really come to mind?
Yeah, so certainly, so we've had to put the team together, and it's not an easy thing to do because we did it quite rapidly. We pulled them together within a month or so, going out to market and getting the resources in. But I've actually had some really positive feedback from senior stakeholders and people external to our team about how well the team's gelled, how it's come together, how everyone's working together, and how we're just getting things done. So yeah, and that's in no small amount due to the skills and the the strategies that you've helped us build on this course. I wouldn't coming from a position where I was before we started the course, I wouldn't have been able to get to this position without having those tools and strategies.
Well, great. And what are some of the tools that have really helped in your in this high performing and gelling team?
So what I really needed was help in getting above the maze, right, getting to that strategic position away from the technical minutiae. Yes. Being able to delegate around the team and being able to empower the team to perform. So I don't need to micromanage them, so they can all be capable in their own right of doing stuff. And that servant leadership model where I'm there to provide them with what they need to get things done, rather than sitting looking over their shoulder and telling them exactly how I want things to be accomplished. Being able to motivate and inspire the team as well, being able to find out the triggers and the switches for each of the guys and using those kind of tools to push them down. Sometimes you need the carrot, sometimes you need the stick, and sometimes it's a carrot flavoured stick, right? It's all you've got to tune it to each of the individual. There's no blanket approach to that. So having all these extra ways of doing that, having a big arsenal of things to try is a much better place to be. Respect and building that respect and loyalty on both sides. That works both ways in the team. They've got to respect me. I've got to respect them for what they bring to the table as well. So just all these little building blocks that all build up to just make a really cohesive leadership structure where they can trust me because I'm giving them strategic vision and they know why and how they need to accomplish things. And me being able to trust them enough to let them do what they do best, deliver the outcomes.
Yes, amazing. And has there been any specific things that come to your mind? Any specific feedback you've gotten from anybody that really sticks in your mind?
So yeah, there's been a lot of interest from peers, from colleagues, the same kind of level about how the team's working, how we're delivering outcomes and how we're getting stuff done. And they've seen a change in the aspects and the way I deliver things. They've seen me rise to that challenge, and then now we're working in quite a high-paced team that's got a lot of visibility across the bank. It's good to know that it's been received well and we're heading in the right direction.
And this is a team you built from scratch, right? This isn't even an existing team. This is a big team that didn't know each other a couple of months ago. Yeah,
so they only landed in September, I think, so a couple of months now. And as you say, from nothing, before September there was myself, and then I had one other engineer join me. and then we've now got 14 people in the team across 2 continents. So it's a geographic split. We've got all the time differences to worry about and all the splits. It's a large organisation that's got a lot of different moving parts and a lot of different places, a lot of different bits and pieces to pull together to get things done. So yeah, there's a lot of challenges, and we've done a lot of really good work in a very short period of time.
And how do you feel as a leader, as far as now that you have these tools and these skills that we went over? How's your confidence as a leader?
I think I'm very confident now in calling myself a leader. I think previously I was certainly been suffering from pretty heavy dose of imposter syndrome. I've done it. I now know the theory behind what I'm delivering. So there's a pretty decent position of strength there. Just the ability to be able to granularly check how I'm doing and what I'm doing. Was some of the aspects that we learned on the course. The accountability and that constant checking, because it is a process, right? We can't just sit on our laurels. We can't say, I've completely nailed this aspect of it, I never need to go back to that again. We need to constantly check. And you've got to remember as well, we're dealing with human beings who have got their own free will and their own ability to change in themselves. So the aspects of that team are going to change over time. People will come and go, individuals change their mindset. So that constant checking, just to make sure that everything's still ticking over and everything's still firing in the best ability it possibly can.
Yes, great. And how about and you find you're taking on a lot of responsibility, and how's your stress levels through this whole thing comparatively if you wouldn't have went through the course?
I would love to say that my stress hasn't gone up, but I'd be lying. There's a lot of stress involved in what I'm now delivering. But what I would say is that I now know how to manage it. It's not because we've been through that journey, because we've seen all the different aspects of leadership, and we've talked about how to deal with a lot of this kind of stuff. There's day-to-day stress, but there's no underlying stress, if that makes sense. It's not building up. It's not getting
healthy stress. It's healthy stress, normal, natural stress.
It's the buzz of getting things done. It's the deadlines and the deliveries that need to be made. There's a lot of people to look after in the team, but I guarantee you, if we had this conversation, before we started the course and everything had hit, I would be, I'd be a drowning man looking for the life belt, as opposed to coming from a position of strength where already, I feel like compared to the drowning guy with the life belt, I feel like I'm on a yacht. Right? I've got a strong foundation underneath me, we're floating along. And there's some waves coming up, we can see them, but we can totally figure out how to get over that. So it's not, good stress, as you say, good stress.
Good. And I hope it's okay. I share that, it's been I think from the first time we talked, you said that being a non-exec director on a board is something that you've had your eyes on. And it sounds like you've gotten some, I think we just had a course here recently where you feel much more prepared for and well equipped for that. Yeah. Yeah.
That part of the course really set me straight on a few aspects of that kind of engagement that were puzzling me. So a lot of really good content there. I managed to make an engagement. I'd been looking to get onto some kind of strategic board level positions using my technology background and my strategic capabilities in that space to help businesses out. I took a position as a trustee on a charity up here in Scotland, and I'm getting a lot out of that engagement as well. So again, understanding the strategy rather than the minutiae has been really paramount to helping with that. Helping that charity, guide them in the right strategic approach, and that's not just a technical thing, right? So that's just a strategic business approach. Which is, it's been that's been an interesting part of this journey as well, just engaging with that process and seeing different aspects that that are different from my day to day.
Yeah, and like you said, I think you said before, I can't remember if it was now or that when we talked before this, people are seeing you as more strategic, correct? The key stakeholders.
Definitely, yeah. So, as you said before, and one of your first impressions of me was I had to be the most technical guy in the room, right? And that luckily I've got broad shoulders. I can take these kind of criticisms.
And we're as tall as each other about. We're one of the few people that can have an eye to eye.
We were talking eye to eye, so that was all good. But yeah, I mean, I would like to say a lesser man would have taken that under umbrage, but I took that as a challenge. That was a key thing that I needed to be able to get over in this whole process, because that is a completely ego-based position. That is my comfort zone, right? I've spent a long time in my career building up and selling myself on my technical ability. And if I want to be strategic, I need to get over that. That's not to say that is no longer any use to me, but I need to know how to temper that and how to position that as a strategic outcome. So yeah, people, senior management have, they've highlighted the fact that I've put this team together. We are delivering. They are very impressed with my approach, the way I'm doing things. I've already been earmarked for in a talent pool for future projects, and they're talking about more strategic senior positions and opportunities and things. So these things are all moving in the absolutely right direction in the way that the way I had hoped it would all pan out. So the outcomes are really positive. Yes.
So you feel a lot more excited about your career moving forward, huh?
Yeah, and it's not because I'm any less. So the challenges are still out there. There's still a lot of this stuff that's way out of my comfort zone. But the difference now is I know how to deal with that and how to approach those things. Right? I know I've got the tool set now. We've got the big pile of tools that we can dip in and out of to find the right one for the right job. Right? I'm not just standing there with a single screwdriver trying to figure out how to fix the world. It sounds like a clunky analogy, but that's kind of the way it is. There's a whole suite of things I've now got available to me through the course that I can apply to lots of different situations and figure out what the right strategy for these things is, rather than just, what's the old saying, if all you've got is a hammer, it looks like a nail, I can now deal with nuts and screws.
Good metaphor. Good. Well, Greg, it's been amazing. Is there anything, what would you say to somebody on the fence about, that's on the fence? It's like looking at the course and they're trying to decide whether to commit or not.
Get off the fence. It's one of the best strategic decisions you'll ever make. The journey has been phenomenal. The guys and girls that I've met on the course, have there's been a lot of the kind of extracurricular stuff. The aspects of that network building's been really good as well. But basically, the difference this has made to my ability to lead and to be seen as a strategic leader is it's night and day. As I said, had I tried to do what I've done with the team before I knew all this stuff, the stress levels would be off the chart, and I'd be sitting here with my head in my hand wondering how I was going to get out of this hole. But I'm sitting here talking about good stress and authentic self and having a high performing team, and these things are all fantastic, and the opportunities that are opening up before me, because I can now prove empirically that I can do this stuff, that I know how to lead, and it's been noticed. So yeah, get off the fence, sign up, come and join the Michael Fun Bus.
That's a great quote right there. Well, Gregor, thank you so much for sharing your experience. It's been a pleasure to watching, having you join and watching your growth. So and again, you were all in. You did the work, man. I just had the content. You did the work. So thank you so much.
No, thank you. It's been a really good course. I've thoroughly enjoyed the all 8 weeks of it. It's been phenomenal.